I always think about the bigger picture. And sometimes when I get so flustered or just like upset over something, especially like something small, I try and think about it like, Alexa, like in 2 weeks, you're not even going to remember how you're feeling right now. In a year, you're not going to, like, if something's bigger, like in a year, you're not going to remember this. Like, I try to just look at things, and I don't know why that works for me, but just sense of time, like it's going to be okay. And it's really not as big as you think that it is.
Okay. Hello, Alexa. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you. For everyone watching or listening and not watching, I am with Alexa Lemieux. Is that how you would say it?
You totally could. That sounds like it's a lot of energy. Just
I
Lemieux.
okay. Well,
I feel like I
honestly,
would slow down my whole sentence. Like that would be the entirety of it if I spoke like that. Lemieux.
I mean, I am half French, so I was like, if
Okay.
I mess this up, but then I also don't want to seem obnoxious and use like a thick
Yeah.
accent, so that was like me trying to like meet it halfway.
Oh, no, it
But
was so good.
you know
Just
what?
Lemieux.
Lemieux, Alexa Lemieux. She owns her own insurance company, but you probably also know her more from season 3 of Love is Blind, which aired last October. Tell us a little bit about what you tell people now when you're at a party and they ask you what you do.
I spend a majority of my time afterwards in my closet because that was a safe space for me. But since then it's eased up a bit, or actually a lot. It's I'm at the love of my life in a closet. We no longer get to like make up weird ways that we met because like the first year and a half that we were married, we couldn't tell anybody. So
Oh,
him and
right.
I just would tell like really weird stories about how we met that, just like, oh, we were in Mexico and met at a bar and we just happened to both live in Dallas or just like weird things that we would come up with. And then now but nothing I think is stranger than meeting in a closet and getting engaged to someone you've never seen before. So,
After what, 20, or you got engaged after 10 days, right?
yeah, day 9, technically. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, what led you? I'm always so fascinated by people who go on reality TV shows because I'm like, that's a huge risk. Like, you got to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, you are putting yourself out there. What led you to go on the show?
It's so weird. And Brennan and I have talked about it now that we can't imagine. I mean, obviously we're married now, but just being in the headspace to go back and do that, like what, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how it got there. I think that I just believe everything happens for a reason. And I was just in a very specific headspace where when I saw the application and I applied, like I was like my grandma had passed a few months, like 6 months prior to that. And I was doing dry January, which I've never done before. And I was just like it was a Saturday night, had nothing else going on. And I was just kind of in that like very short span of just, I'm just going to do like weird things, like life is short, when you
Yeah.
lose somebody like that, you get in that headspace of like, there's nothing, tomorrow's not promised. And so, I had seen season 1 because season 2 and season 3 filmed back to back. And so we never saw season 2 and obviously because we filmed at the same time. So I'd only ever seen season 1 and it was very interesting. But it's amazing, So I went, I was very much open to the idea of it, but I really wanted just to go see kind of like behind the scenes of how things are done. Like, like just go
Yeah.
see what the pods are like and see what's like the whole like lounge area, like everything. And so I think that was more where my like head was at. Like, why wouldn't I do this? And I just kind of it didn't really feel real because we found out 3 days before that we were actually going to be on the show. So they were just like, pack as if you're going. It's not 100%. I'm such like a type A personality that I just like
Yeah.
need to know. And then you also have to pack for like the vacation getaway, and you also have to pack for that, and you don't know obviously if you're going to get engaged or not. You don't
Oh
really
my gosh. Any woman's nightmare.
quite literally, yes. And so my brain was so focused on like outfits and packing and things like that. And my family was like, are you nervous about the guys? And I'm like, the guys, like my outfits, like, what are we talking about, guys? Like,
Yes.
I'm still on the first phase of this, being worried about that and all of that stuff. So it was absolutely just wild. And when I found out that I was going, I was on the way to a friend's house, and I had been, I was like working with the producer, my original one, and I just kept bothering him, like, "Do you know anything yet? Do you know? Am I going? Am I not going?" And he's like, "I will let you know when you're going." And so he called me, and he was just, "You're going, so be ready." Like it was like a Thursday night, and I left Saturday morning. So it was crazy.
What was your
And that
thought
was like the first
process?
moment that it felt real. Like up until then, I was just like, "That's weird," you know? And then getting on the plane and actually heading there, and like when we landed, they just told us like meet by like a certain area, and there was just like all these girls standing there. And so you just like see all these girls, first of all, just waiting at baggage claim, and you're like, are you going to be on it? Are you one of the 15? Like, we're just like
Oh,
sizing each other up. And then as I started to see girls like meet in a certain area, I'm like, oh my God, these are the other girls. And you're so just, I don't know how to act, and because they're just complete strangers to one another. So yeah.
yeah. I cannot think of
Yeah.
anything more stressful. Were there
Yeah.
moments before you got chosen? I mean, I guess it was like up until the very last minute you didn't know. But what did you
Yeah.
have to keep telling yourself? Were there like mantras that you were repeating to yourself about taking risks or
Just like everything happens for a reason. Like there was just a reason I was doing it. And I didn't know what that was at the time. Obviously I do now. But just and I left there like with more than just, meeting the love of my life. It was I have friendships
yeah.
that are weird. They're just different kind of friendships that I have to like other friends that I have, because we went
Yeah.
through this like whole experience together. And it's
Yeah.
just like, hey, remember that time we were all talking to guys that we didn't know what they looked like in a wall? Like it's just weird. And then like that, and I just like learned so much about myself. Like I remember coming home, and my sister, she was like, "Are you okay? Like, why are you so nice?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You're just being really nice." I don't know what's going on. And I was just like, "I think I'm just like really in love." Like I don't know. You're just on
Oh,
cloud nine. I don't I it was an out of body experience for sure.
I think that's amazing. And it's true. Everything does happen for a reason. And yours was a lot more obvious than most people get. But um,
Yeah.
the question we love asking on the show, which is what everyone is interested in, um, and it can be about your time on Love is Blind or before that or after. But what is the best advice that you've ever gotten?
Um, I think that like I don't know if it's advice, but to just trust your gut. Just when you know, you know. Like I just believe that there's something like just an outer experience that sometimes like things like happen for a reason, like I've been saying, and you just kind of have to lean into that. And the universe, I feel like, is telling us things all the time. And if we really take a second and we listen to it and we just lean into that feeling, and we, like that feeling of deja vu, like I really feel like it's like a past life that you're like on the right track. I've like read that um when things like that happen, like there's just something bigger than us. Like that helps me sleep, that it's not just
Yeah.
like this. Um and I don't know, just to really trust your gut and to take those moments like when you feel something. And I wouldn't be married if I didn't do that. There was definitely a moment where I was just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now. Like this is weird. and
I'm sure.
and I was just like ready, like should I leave? Like I've never felt like this before. Am I doing it wrong? Am I doing it right? Like what is happening? And like I went in and I was just like, I have to talk to you. And I said, like, that's when we said I love you to each other. It was like day 3. Um
Oh.
and which sounds so weird, like gross actually. Like yeah, I've known this guy for 3 days and I love him, but like really, like legitimately I did. And if I didn't do that, if I didn't trust my gut, and if I didn't lean into that um feeling, then we probably wouldn't be married today. So
I
um
love that.
so yeah, just like trust yourself. Like I feel like a lot of people don't, and they look at like what you should do or what you shouldn't do, or like what society tells you to do. And um I feel like sometimes you have to like listen to something that's like within you. There's just something more. I don't know.
No, I completely agree with that. And it's, I was going to say that I feel like it's very easy to trust your gut when it's aligned with what society would have you do. And like everyone, like, I think what's really challenging is to trust your gut when everyone is saying that's a bad idea or like, are you
Yeah.
insane? And I think
Yeah.
we've all had times where that has happened. And you, especially, I'm sure, like saying I love you after 3 days, getting married after
Yeah.
28, everyone's like, are you off your rocker?
Yeah.
But that's when it's hard to trust your gut because
Yeah.
your mind would be like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So how did you do that when you knew that there was going to be so much judgment and criticism for trusting your
Um,
intuition?
so we both on both of our sides got really lucky that everyone was like weirdly accepting of it. We were looking at them like, wait, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, like y'all make so much sense. So we were really lucky with that. But of course there were just, why can't y'all just continue dating? Like, why do you have to get married? Why do you have to do all these, you know? And I had just like a weird sense of peace and like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And why wouldn't I? Like, why would I just date somebody to get married later on? Why can't I just get married to them now? Like, I don't know. It was, and I still feel that way. So I'm so glad that I made that decision. We both made that decision at the time. And either way, like we've actually a few weeks ago, I asked him, I was like, do you think that we would still be married today? Like if we left the show early or if we didn't get married then? And he was just like, yeah, absolutely. Like there was no question that you were going to be my life forever. So why couldn't forever start sooner than,
No.
waiting to societal norms tell you like, oh, you should date for a year and then plan a wedding for a year and then all that. So
Yeah.
it
I
worked out
think
how it's
there are
supposed to.
times in life where societal pressure sometimes is relatively good. Like it keeps us all in a standard of normativity. But there's other times with things like dating and marriage that sometimes, like I felt this way with my husband. When you know, you just know.
When you know, you
And
know.
like I started dating my husband at 17 and we dated until we got married, which was right after college, which for most people was like teen bride. Geez. But you just like,
Yeah.
there's some things that really you have to just say, screw society. And the
Yeah.
best decision you will ever make is marrying the right person. So, I mean, you have
100%.
everything to lose or nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing. How has life been married? How have you adjusted?
It was weird at first because I lived with guys before, like roommates, and it's very different when it's someone that, especially being married to them. Um, I'm like, this asshole. Like sometimes I'm like, I just did all these dishes, I just clean, and like, are you serious right now? Like, are you
Yep.
kidding me?
Mm.
Um, Even like yesterday, I cleaned and he was eating Ritz crackers last night, and I like walked out this morning, the Ritz crackers, and I texted him like, "Are you serious right now?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm just throwing the trash. So it's like little things like that. But it is really nice, like having someone like to come home to and someone there that just makes me feel, um, like just so safe and protected, and we do everything together, and you just know. I don't know what they want and what they need without them having to say it. It's like a weird, you kind
Yeah.
of just like in tango, like with everything and tango word.
I get
You
what you're
just,
saying.
you know what I
You're
mean?
in sync about
And
everything.
sync. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
tango.
Because it takes two to
Okay.
tango. I get
Yeah.
where you're
Two to
going with
tango.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so we did in the, in the beginning, I would, it would be something so like minor. And I'm like, did I make a mistake? Should we not have gotten married? And it would be like shoes being left out. It was just like so dramatic. And cause it was hard because I feel like people were trying to give like advice, like marriage advice, but ours was so different. I feel like now we can have like normal marriage advice, but in the beginning, it's like I've known this person for like 2 hours and we're married. So
Yeah.
your advice, like I don't know how well it's gonna work with me. And then just like learning, just communication really is such a big thing. But I think like everyone says that the key to marriage is communication, but I really think that it's getting over your pride, which is, I think is a much harder thing to do, and like learning to apologize, even if you don't think that you're wrong. Just saying like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry if I made you feel like that. Um, and makes things go away like this. Hey, if you're just like so upset over something, you're just like, hey, I'm really sorry. Didn't mean it. And then it's over. It's rather than, because like we were just getting to things like, and I was like, I'm not going to bend on this. I'm not saying one thing until he apologizes and he says that he was wrong. Like, I'm not going to talk to him. Um, and I learned very quickly that that doesn't work well. We have two
Yeah.
people doing that, because then you're just like sitting there like waiting for the other person to break. And so after a few months, we sat down and we were just like, okay, so what we're doing isn't working. Um, let's learn to communicate a little bit better, and see how that goes. And it really did work. So
Yeah.
just learning to get over your pride and stuff like that, and seeing like the bigger picture of things really works.
Yeah. Well, my next question was going to be, what's the best piece of advice you would give someone in a relationship? So it seems like that might be it. But do you have any other amazing advice other than communication is key, which I agree with 100%?
I think of what else. I mean, daily there's something that like, and even just like looking at the on Instagram, like reading your stuff, sometimes like I read things at such like the perfect time when you're like going through something and you're like, ah, like I needed that today. um Actually, you actually posted one today, and it was talking about how you don't like need to always be doing something to like feel like you're being successful, and that's kind of how I felt
Yes.
this week. Because I feel like we've been going, and then during the week, it's been so slow, and I'm like, should I be doing more? I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Should I be posting more? But I always like to just do things like when in the moment when I feel like it, and not force myself
Yeah.
to do things. Anyways,
No, I'm glad that
um,
hit you. That makes my day hearing that.
but other advice, I think that it gets hard when you have to find a really good balance of maintaining your independence. Because in the beginning, like that's another thing I did, is I was giving everything. I was trying to be like this perfect wife, and um changing a lot of things about myself to be someone that I thought that he wanted, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, and I learned very quickly that that's not who he married, and that's not like who I am. And so you have to adjust certain things to make your like life together work, but you need to like hold on to like a sense of like independence. Like, I on the clock every other week, I have my girls and gays dinner that I have to have, just to
I
like
love it.
that that I have to go to, where I get dressed up, and that's my night. And we do that. um and I was, because especially in the beginning, I mean, it was also like you want to spend every single second with this person. You're like in that, what they call a honeymoon phase. Um and I had to like force myself a little bit in the beginning to like, okay, go out and don't just like, want to do everything together. And um so I think just like maintaining independence and keeping who you are, but just like finding a way that it works best for you too, that you're still doing stuff together. Like for him, he was still staying up super, super late, like he watches these weird nerdy movies, like Star Wars-esque. I don't know what. It's weird. But he would stay up super, super late watching that. And then I was going to bed earlier, and I just felt like a disconnect. And he was so used to doing that. I was just, we just compromised, like, hey, why don't you watch it in bed? Like, I can sleep through anything. So why don't you watch it in bed? Like, so we're going to bed at the same time, technically. And then also, like, maybe don't stay up so late doing that, because you always feel like shit the next day when you're just like so exhausted. Um, so just like little things like that, where you're just merging together, and
Yeah, I love
so he still
that.
gets to enjoy his weird shows, but he can do well, we can go to bed together and he can watch it.
Yes, there's always compromise, and I think it is absolutely possible to keep your own identity and your own sense of self, and also realize that in any good relationship, you're going to have to give up something for the other person. I've posted quotes like that on my page, and it's always interesting to me because people will like really get after me for it.
Yeah.
They'll call it like toxic or like I shouldn't have to
Mhm.
give anything of myself for someone else. And that's
Yeah.
just not realistic. And sometimes it honestly
Yeah.
makes me concerned for like where society's going. Have
Yeah.
you encountered that? Like, have some people commented and been like, oh my gosh, like you're an amazing person and now you're getting married after 28 days and your life is over. And
I haven't got anything like that. I have gotten a bunch that I've like changed him. I've changed who he is, and I'm like,
oh,
how do y'all know who he is? Like y'all saw like you know what I mean? You saw 10 hours of like
yeah.
5 different couples being followed. Also 2 years ago. Like if you're not changing all the time, then you
Yeah.
also have an issue. Like both of us are such different people than we were 2 years ago when that was filmed.
Yeah.
Um,
And relationships should change you to a certain
yeah.
extent. You're
Well, that
supposed
I've
to
changed.
grow.
I was dying laughing. So I can either get frustrated with it or I just find it so funny. Like we went to the beach and people were upset, like in the you've just changed him so much. Like I miss the cowboy boots. And I'm like, you want him to wear cowboy boots to the beach? What kind of beach are you going to? Like, yes, this man. And then people didn't like his sandals. Like, and we're so upset about his sandals. I'm like, oh man, most men look weird in sandals. I didn't like,
Yeah.
that's just life. I can't control that. Um, and it's just also if an outfit just completely defines like who you are and can change somebody, like that's also an issue. Like you can still be the
Yeah.
same person and dress a little differently sometimes. So I get that a lot that I've changed him and I'm like, y'all don't know him. So I don't know what I could possibly like what you're people just like to be weird on the internet. Um,
Yeah.
and
And
I
to
have
your
to learn how to
point, 2
laugh
years.
at it. 2 years
Absolutely.
ago.
Yeah. 2 years
2 years.
ago, I would hope that I've changed
Yeah.
in 2 years, that
Yeah.
there's things about me
Yeah.
that are different. I
2 years, like it's also like in your 20s, you changed so much, and then of being married, you changed like those are two separate different things where you just changed so
yeah.
much, and so putting those things together, and y'all don't really know like who we are watching a show. Like that's you saw like a very small time period where we were also going through something that was very like stressful. That's not like how we are day to day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's not
A
how I'm gonna
completely
act.
unique
Like
situation.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, I
um,
think that's
it's
so
interesting.
valid.
Yeah,
Do you have I'm very flattered that you follow my page, and so clearly I'm
absolutely.
always interested in if people have favorite quotes or mantras and maybe they helped you throughout your time on Love is Blind, or something that you've repeated to yourself since being married and navigating this newfound celebrity. And
Like I was saying earlier, I don't have a favorite, but I feel like I've seen things that have happened like at a specific time and like when I needed it. Like you just see things that you just needed to hear in that moment. And like this week it was you know, don't let things or I think you posted it today or yesterday. Um, like it's okay to be boring sometimes and relax and it doesn't need to be go, go, go. So um yeah, that resonated with me
I
today.
love that.
So
I
yeah.
love that. Do you have a mantra or anything that you like tell yourself every day, or like words you repeat to yourself?
Um I I don't know if it's a word, but I always think about the bigger picture. And sometimes when I get so flustered, um, or just like upset over something, especially like something small, I try and think about it like Alexa, like in 2 weeks, you're not even gonna remember how you're feeling right now. In a year, you're not gonna like if something's bigger, like in a year, you're not gonna remember this. Like I try to just look at things and I don't know why that works for me, but just sense of time. Like it's gonna be okay. And it's really not as big as you think that it is. Um, and time heals everything. And sometimes you just need to give yourself a break and take a breath. And I've been getting back into working out the last few weeks, and I feel like that's helped a lot. And I feel like I'm not as like agitated as sometimes that I can be, and it's just like letting things. Also, I'm too tired and lazy from working out to let things get to me as much. Um, but finding, I saw when I lived in Israel, I saw a life coach, because I'd been at therapy, just, having divorced parents and things like that. I'd been at therapy a lot. And, for the first time, someone that really helped me was a life coach. And it wasn't about focusing on the past anymore, because that's what therapy does. You focus on the past, and you talk about it, you talk about it. Um, but after seeing a life coach, she was like, tell me about yourself. And so I'm like, oh, you want to okay, here's the tea. So I tell her everything, and she was like, whoa, like, I don't like, no. Like, who are you, and like, where do you want to be? And so all we talked about was future stuff, and um, like future happiness, and where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, and things like that, and how we're going to get there, and how things can like change, how you're feeling right now to get you to like where you want to be. And that was probably the most helpful thing I've ever done in my whole life. That just focusing on the future just really, for me personally, it did wonders rather than focusing on the past.
I love that. I think that's really beautiful. Well, in terms of the future, what is in your future then? Tell us like everything we can do to keep up with you and support you, and what the plans are. I'm assuming staying married is on the list of things.
Yes. Today, yes. He needs to come pick up this Ritz cracker package, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's number 2. Stay married, Ritz crackers.
Definitely, being married, all of that fun stuff, starting a family. That's been a process, and it's not as easy as a lot of people think that it is. So we're working on a family. We've started looking at houses. We went a few weeks ago and started doing that, and went into it. I thought that I wanted one thing, and then after seeing houses, I was like, wait, I don't. So figuring out what we both like. Yeah. And, figuring out where we want to live, and like really settle down, and, cause we were talking about it, and I was like, I want to get our first house, and I want to stay there for like 10 years. And he was like, 10 years? Like, most people don't stay in their first house for 10 years. Like, why? And we were going back and forth, and he's like, I just don't understand. Like, have you ever thought about why you want like that? Cause I was like, I want our kids to go to the same like school from kindergarten all the way until they graduate. Like, I want to be in one place. And as we were talking about it, I was like, it's just because I guess I never had consistency growing up, like from me. And so to have that, like, I bounced around into so many different schools growing up, and just like that. So we're like, okay, we need to find where we want to live. And that's going to be the place for the next, long time, 20
Yeah.
years, at least. So, that.
You're focusing
and,
on the bigger picture, hence
yes.
your favorite
Yeah.
quote.
Yes. It's all
It all
about the
comes
bigger
full
picture.
circle.
Yes. And staying close enough to my side and his sides, trying to find like a middle ground of that. So yes, that's the next thing, is house or kids, whichever one comes first. Luckily you got 9 months to cook before getting a house, so that works out nicely.
And luckily, like you said, everything happens for a reason, and every timing of your life
Yes.
happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
is there anything career or personal wise, check, but career wise, where we should go to follow you? Give us like handles or websites or projects you're working on.
I was like, I was about to give you my email.
We'll take that too. Everyone email her with your questions.
Send me an email. I'll have my people get back to your people. On Instagram and TikTok, it's Mrs. Alexa Lemieux. I'm getting better at the TikTok. It's just that's a hard place sometimes. I don't know what to do there. And then it's Instagram. I'm there all the time. So yeah, TikTok. Beautiful. I'm just like, what's a cute trend? Like when I'm in the mood to do one. I don't know how people do it all the time.
No, and I can't deal with one more platform. I already try and keep up with Instagram, and yeah.
I'm too old to learn each. That's fine. If they want to bring back MySpace, like I'd be all about it. So
oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
They want
to bring back MySpace and Juicy Couture. I am there.
Sign me up.
Yes.
Absolutely. I have my dog here.
Oh.
And both our doggies. We have Loki. Look, Loki.
Oh, hello. Oh my gosh, beautiful dogs.
I think that's one, and then they're both walking. Got little Tito.
Oh my gosh, look how cute.
They've been here the whole time. They're interviewing as well. Right?
Oh, that's fun company during the day. Very fun company.
Yeah, low key.
Well, see, okay, so now everyone listening has to watch the episode so you can see her cute dogs. That's a good
my babies.
A good ploy to get people onto our YouTube. Well, Alexa, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but you were so nice to join us and share your wisdom with us. And Clearly, you were a huge fan favorite for a reason, and totally get that even more now. And I'm just happy
Thank
for
you.
you and your new life. And I wish you all the best with starting a family and navigating this crazy world of married
Thank you.
life. We're all in this
Thank you.
together, married ladies, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Or married people, rather. It's all
Women
the
need
same
to stick together
experience.
through this because it's nice.
Yes.
People go complain about them and come home. Hi, honey. Loved
Oh,
you
yeah.
so much. Love
That's how
you.
we've gotten through since the beginning of time, literally. But
Cosmos and girl talk. Absolutely.
100%. But anyways, you're so nice. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on the
Absolutely.
show. And
Absolutely.
to all of our listeners and people watching, thank you for tuning in to The Shift.